Great. I think we'll get started. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you all again. It's been a while. So thank you for joining those who can. Obviously, we recorded this session, so you'll be able to share it afterwards. And I'm sure Jude and Peter will share any content and links afterwards that I'll circulate around the group from what it was better. So today was really a follow up to a conversation that started on the WhatsApp group, and there was lots of interest, lots of discussion around some of the work that the guys at Kinsmed have been doing, some of the products around anti-deconditioning and falls and other work. And I felt, well, there was lots of questions, and I guess you were getting lots of email addresses being shared with you as well. And I thought, well, let's pull this together and have a bit of a sort of representation, I guess, or any new updates, I guess, from what you did last time. I think you talked to us last year at some point as part of the learning sessions we had. So uh, I thought we'd bring you back again to the group. You can share again, or update some of the questions that we had from the WhatsApp group, and just give everybody a chance to hear from you guys again, all the great work that you've been doing. So this will be sort of over to you. We've put an hour in. We may not need it. We may have lots of questions, and we may run out of time. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. But you have the floor. It's entirely up to you how you want to use it. We'll have some time for questions at the end. To everybody else, if you go on mute while Jude and Peter are talking, pop questions in the chat or comments or observations, and I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll pick them up towards the end if we need to, or just at the end, pop your hands up, and you can ask the guys some questions. So. Jude and Peter, if it's okay, I'm going to hand over to you, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, fab. Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much for organising it, Nick. Yeah, like you said, I think it's just a lot easier than replying to all the, although I have been replying to all the emails individually. I think it helps to answer any questions sort of live like this. So thank you so much for organising it. For us, it's nice to be back with everyone here. I'm Jude. This is Peter. Yeah, and we're happy with how you said. We'll tell you guys a bit about it, and then afterwards, if you guys have got any questions, we're happy to have a bit of an interactive session. Yeah, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nick. Thanks again, and thanks everybody else for your time in being here. That's really appreciated. So really, if you're talking about updates, we're moving away from an alarm monitor that gives an audible alarm when a patient at risk of fall tries to get out of bed or tries to get out of the chair. So we have, I think we mentioned it last time, a new alarm monitor we've named Adam because it's the first of its kind. It does the falls function that the present one does, but it does some other functions. So I think if I just bring this up, there we are. Yeah, and right there you can see a little circular disc. So what the staff will do, based on their clinical judgment of the condition of the patient, they can turn that dial to whatever time setting they want. So at half-hour intervals, if you're just using it for the function for timing how long a patient has been on the chair or in bed, then you switch the button to mute because you don't want an unnecessarily noise going off when there's no need for it. So what happens is that when the time's up, let's see if I've done this right. I don't know if you can see here, the light flashes, so there's no noise and it keeps flashing until you come along and, I don't like that expression, offload, but get the patient up. And the research shows that if you take patients up every half hour for 3 to 5 minute gentle walk, it can increase discharge by up to 2 days on average. So looking at what we're looking at, first of all, is the health of the patients to try and prevent deconditioning, and then looking at the NHS generally, in particular trusts, if they could save a bit of money with getting the patients back to normalization rather than suffering so much deconditioning. So if you're looking at costs, I mean, some of the trusts that we've worked with have said a patient in a bed that doesn't need any medical care, it's about £400 a day. Another trust told us it was a lot more than that. And if you're saving on average 2 days on discharge, 800 quid for one patient, and if you divide 365 by the number of patients you get into bed, on average, say 14 days stay, sometimes a bit shorter, then you're looking about 26 patients a year that can use one piece of equipment. What you can, and then you can work out the costs on that, the overall saving to a trust of just one kit. Now, when I'm talking about one kit, although things can be bought individually, the cushion for the chair, the mattress for the bed, and this new alarm monitor all together. That's what I mean by
Yeah,
the.
should we show them? Just
Yeah,
in case
yeah.
some missed the last one, just an overview. So this is the cushion for the chair. So we'll show that first. It's a similar sort of premise for the mattress as well. So we'll go into it. And then what Peter was holding up earlier, that is the alarm monitor. So it alarms. So it's weight sensitive. So it alarms when the patient is attempting to get out of bed. We'll show videos as well. And it alarms prior to them being completely up as well, to give the most amount of time to staff to catch them before something happens. Also with this, so it's weight sensitive. So it'll sense when the patient is sat on it, and with the time that the clinician has chosen, it'll alert, say that you've decided to maintain mobility in a patient. They need to be moved every 2 hours or every 4 hours, up to your guys' discretion. You would set it to 4 hours. A little alarm would flash. It won't be audible because it's too disruptive, as it's a non-emergency. It'll show an audible flash, and you guys will come and walk the patient or move them, and hopefully with that little bit of walk and the research that Peter was talking about, we can help maintain mobility with patients in hospitals. So the makeup of the cushion, should we show the
Yeah.
So the makeup of the cushion is a firm foam inside, surrounded by viscoelastic memory foam. And we chose this because there was a large study that was done by the University of Ulster where they compared this makeup to air alternating mattresses and water mattresses and air mattresses that were not alternating. And after the study, there was an 88% decrease in pressure sores with patients that they had on a mattress and a cushion like this, as compared to a 5% increase in patients that were actually using the air alternating mattresses. So that's why we opt for that, and that's the same makeup in the mattress as well. It just seems to be, the research shows it seems to be the best, so that's what we opt for. Yeah, and like Peter said, it also comes with one of these. We've got a couple of videos to show how it works.
Just to tell them, I'm sitting on a cushion now. It's really comfortable. And what I'm going to do, I'll just show you. This alarm monitor has a strap like this with a little clip. You can clip it to under and then reclip it. But we've got another one which I prefer, and it's for getting off is a little difficult because you want people to take it off too easy. So here's a clip. So all you do is slip it on like that. Of course, it'd be the other way round. Slip it on like that and clip it over the arm of the chair or over the side of the bed. And these are not one fits all. So not all bed frames or chairs, it's quite expandable. But if you've got in a particular truss, we do the measurement and we make one for yours. And the beauty about that is that's it. It's clipped on the chair now, as quick as that. So to set the system up, you've got that. I'm sitting on the cushion. We're just going to put the, you see, we're just going to put that in here. Hear the clip. When it beeps twice, that's telling you the system is working. Clip it on the side of the chair. You can wriggle around all you like. you can slouch, it's built in for that. But once you try to get up, the alarm will sound. You can adjust the volume and you can adjust the tone. So we've had it in stroke recovery where it's a circular ward and the patients are quite far away. And one of the reasons they like this was, as opposed to a pager system, for example, was that the member of staff, whoever they are, whatever grade they are, has to attend. It's everybody's responsibility, they say. If the alarm goes off, it's the person nearest the bed. Whereas with the pager, it's the person who has a pager, and that has inbuilt risks in it. So that's how the cushion works. And if I want to put, oh, by the way, you can also, if you've got a patient at risk of falls and you've got a patient you need to time as well, you can have the double setting as well. So you get the audio alarm if they try to get up, and you get the flashing light when they need a little bit of exercise. When the patient sits back down, it'll automatically reset. But if you want to take the patient away to the toilet or something, there's a little reset button here. I'm just going to demonstrate. Press the reset button away. And when you bring the patient back in, you don't have to do anything. You just sit them back down. Same time will apply, and the alarm is already set as well. So that's that.
Yeah, we'll just show some videos now.
Switch this off so I keep.
Right, I think that's sharing. This one first.
Yeah.
There will be two bleeps. And the patient sits down. This indicates that the device is connected, working. If you don't hear the two bleeps, you need to check two things. One, make sure the wire is plugged in from the cushion to the alarm monitor, and also check that the batteries are in. Other than that, it'll be working properly if you hear the two bleeps. If the patient wants to move about, you're not going to get any false alarms. Some patients like to slouch. That doesn't matter. It's designed for that. But if a patient tries to get off before they're fully on their feet, it will start alarming. If the patient sits back down, it'll reset. But if you want to take the patient away from the chair, for example, for a little bit of exercise or go to the toilet, when you take the patient up, the alarm will go, just press the reset button.
So that's how the falls element of the chair cushion works. And that's how the falls element for the bed mattress works, and this is the deconditioning.
This is set on the half-hour setting, and as soon as you get into the bed, time automatically starts to run. And when the half hour is off, it flashes indicating the patient needs to get up and be taken with supervision 3 to 5 minutes of exercise. And all you have to do is press the reset button. And when the patient gets back on the bed, it will automatically start time running again.
Shall I just see what happens? Please. Right.
Okay,
Can I just say?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'd like to say is we haven't tested the mattress or trialed the mattress in the hospitals yet. We've got one being fabricated for Stoke-on-Trent. Ward 80, the integrated discharge unit, have tried 3 of the cushions on one, and it's their clinical decision to do what they want with the timing. So there was a lady who was getting up every 2 hours, and they wanted to encourage that mobility. So they told the staff there that when that light flashes, that's when she needs to get up and do exercise. There was another gentleman, and he was getting up every hour, so they put it on an hour setting for him. And one of the patients didn't need anything except he was getting up so frequently, they put just the audible alarm on. So it's a clinical condition that will the clinicians that will determine it. But I've been speaking to Dr. Aurora there, and we agree that actually it's okay to use it in a discharge lounge, but quite often by the time the patients get there, they have deconditioned. So 2 of those patients couldn't get up from the chair without assistance. So an earlier intervention in acute setting would probably be show the best benefits. Yeah.
Yes. So that's pretty much everything.
Oh, one other thing. Yeah, one other thing, if I may. Buckinghamshire Stoke Mandeville Hospital have just taken a delivery today, actually, of 59 of these cushions with the new alarm monitor, and they're all going to be in acute setting. So we should have an update for you on how they're finding it. The feedback from Stoke-on-Trent was they're great. So, and that's the way they wanted to use it. But like I say, I'm excited about how it's going to perform in an acute setting. Buckingham Healthcare Trust, the actual Buckingham Hospital, wanted to trial it, and they will do eventually. They want to trial the mattress against a air alternating mattress for a patient of the same age, same sex, same comorbidities, and to see if it does work to advance discharge. So we'll keep you updated on that as well. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks both. No, brilliant. Thank you for your time. In fact, so thanks for sharing that. I think that any degree of evidence that comes out, we've all got eyes on. I think this group particularly has been really great at sharing some of the good stuff that we find out there, and starting to back it up with a little bit of evidence as well. And I think what you just referenced there in terms of the length of stay, Peter, earlier was helpful. Just to give people that insight into, these simple, often quite impactful for patients, but we don't always see the benefit on the length of stay in the hospital or impacts on flow or in general. But any other examples where you're finding with your products, you're starting at Stoke Mandeville will be a really great example to sort of hear back in terms of what they found, and keep us informed in that, in terms of what you find. I'm going to open it up to the group. There's a couple of questions in the chat, and so rather than read it out, I am going to invite Claire and Nicola to ask their questions. And Claire first, did you want to come in and just post your question around new hospitals?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nick. And thanks for inviting me. It's my first one of these meetings, so really, really pleased to join you. And sorry if I've repeated anything that you might have discussed before. But thanks for your presentation as well. Really great. I like the fact that the device can alert patients to move, if they can. But one of the questions I had is, I used to be a falls prevention nurse many moons ago, and there wasn't very much evidence out there. And this is probably going back about 5 or 6 years. So my first question was just, is there any new evidence out there, and I know you did just say at the end there after I'd written the question that you were working on that, so I'd be really keen to see that later on. But do you know of anything else that's been done in relation to falls prevention specifically? And also, I work for the New Hospital Programme, as it says on my background, and obviously all the new hospitals of the future, you might not know this, but they will all be designed as a single bedroom. So in that respect, how would that work with the audible side of your device? Because obviously if the room's shut because of infection control reasons or something, that might be a bit of an issue. So it's just worth thinking about, you know, are there going to be digital aspects of that to alert the staff, you know, when they're not near the patient?
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Claire, for that. Okay, Claire, if I could start with the second question, and then here's me diving through some of the feedback here. And that feedback about single rooms. Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, there's an element of single rooms anyway at the moment.
Yeah.
So what Claire's suggesting is that, you know, that's going to be defaulting for more modern hospitals. But so I guess there'll be some side rooms, I guess, that this is applicable to at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. So we got feedback on side rooms, and they're saying that if you put it on full volume, it's loud enough to be heard at the nurse's station. As regards,
Just on that though, sorry. We have previously tested as Peter mentioned, the pager system, which works wirelessly. It was the feedback that was given that it wasn't. They preferred it the way it is, that it can be heard. But if a situation arises like those bedrooms where actually they're saying, now we kind of don't really have a choice, we'd prefer the pages, that can always be done. I mean, we work with, for every hospital we work with the clinicians like yourself to find what is best, and we come up with bespoke solutions for everything. So if we say approached yourself and you said, actually for this, you know, we find we can't hear it or it's too far apart, yeah, the pages would be no problem to put in. There are wireless solutions, so that is quite an easy adjustment to make.
So Jude and I have a different opinion about this. Because even if it's they're all separate bedrooms, and you've got a member of staff just walking past a bedroom and hears the alarm, that member of staff can deal with it. If you've got a pager system and you're using it only as a pager system, not alarming at the bedside, that can't happen. So that increases the risk, not reduces it. The feedback we've had from pagers is that it was shouldn't mention the name, but the ward manager from Pershaw Hospital, and she talks about all of the problems they had with a pager system, not knowing who was responsible on a changeover, not knowing where the pager system was, and particularly, she says, making responsibility fall on one person instead of upon the team. So the example she gives, Mary's walking past her bed, the alarm goes off, it's nothing to do with her because Carol is dealing with it. And Mary's really busy, and they got 1:8, patients 1:8 ratio for a nurse. Yeah.
I'll bring Claire back in.
Yeah, sorry, just to come in on there. So my thoughts were sort of looking at patients with dementia and noise that could potentially, wind them up or upset them or make them anxious or whatever. And also, with the new digital technologies that are coming in, it wouldn't just be like a pager type. I'm just thinking of the future. We're doing a lot of work looking at those sort of digital elements, and it wouldn't just be alerting one nurse, it would perhaps alert someone at the nurse's station or something like that. It's just I'm just speaking out loud, just following on from your conversation. But
no, it's really
Claire,
useful,
that's really good, Claire.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you the basis of this business. We didn't design the cushions because we, as lay people, thought we knew best. All of this is designed. Well, I started off with a family making something comfortable after my mother had fallen, but all of the developments on this are with clinical feedback. So that's really appreciated.
Yeah.
And as technology moves, we're going to have to
definitely
move as well.
And even those two suggestions you've just given over, they overcome the issues with pages already, and they sound like great solutions.
Even that strap that I showed you, the first strap. Okay, so it passes infection control. Each piece can be taken off and cleaned, but when they asked us to design something which wouldn't involve that, and we came up with this, that was preferred. And so in that order I told you of 59, they've said they want to trial, keep the same straps. So they said they want to try 15 of these. So we're going to get the feedback even on the straps after their feedback telling us that's what they want. So we can go in and we can design simple stuff like that, but on technology, that's a different question. We got to keep up with the technology so that we can provide the best solution for yourselves, which is the best solution for the patients.
And we'd definitely like to perhaps speak a little bit more with yourself, Claire, about you know what's up and coming and what's needed. So we'd definitely like to maybe have a bit more of a conversation, and we can look to make those changes.
And then sorry, Claire, you had another. Sorry, Nick, do you want to?
No, so I was going to say that I was going to invite others to think about any other questions they've got. I just wanted to come back and say what I've heard. I think from that discussion is that there is in the technology at the moment there is a transmission element to it. So if you can communicate with a pager, you can communicate a sort of remote element of it, and it's about building that into the digital world. I think in terms of that, I totally support the idea that don't make this one person's responsibility, make it everybody's responsibility. So it's the responsiveness. I think possibly links to a question from BJ in the chat about how we could possibly link to existing patient records, electronic patient records, and through a system of recording what activity the patient is actually doing. VJ's put up on the screen, so I'm gonna go to VJ first.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, guys. You can see I saw Nicola already put about the MySense, and I work for Royal Devon. We got a electronic patient record system called Epic, and we already have some sensor mat linked to our electronic patient records. We can find out how many times the patient attempted or trying to get up, those kind of things. But that's done in more acute settings but this seems to be applicable in the community settings very well. That's why I was interested to check is there is a plan to link, because all our patients in the community, we gone for zero paper. So every single team members going out to the community, they got a handheld device which have a full access to the patient's records. If any changes someone adding, that automatically appears update whenever there is a connectivity that's why. But is there any option for linking with the electronic patient records even outside the acute settings, because that's one of the biggest questions to make it more effective and efficiency by the future models of acute hospital care at home and managing more difficult people at home, reducing the falls, minimizing the queue in the A&E, those kind of things. That's why I put that question there.
Thanks, Pete. So this is more about people in their own home, but linking it through a Wi-Fi system or through internet back to a electronic patient record in acute through a virtual ward kind of setting or community. So I guess, Peter, that goes back to the origins with I think you said about your mom. You're trying to create something for your mom. Was that in her own home?
Yeah, that was. Yeah. So what happened is we knew nothing about falls until my mother fell, and my brother, who was looking after her, he didn't tell us about the fall, and I saw a mark on her head, which was yellowish skin, and she'd actually fallen into the fireplace, and it was a real fire, so it was a hot, tiled area, and then when I got a little bit worried about that, so I looked, and what was on the market then were these pieces of plastic sensors you could put on the cushion for the patient to sit on. In this case, for my mother to sit on. The trouble is, when some patients get to a certain age, they get really awkward and they don't want to be put on things. you know. So that was when I came up with the idea, the fact that it could cause damage to the skin. I came up with the idea of sticking it in a cushion. That's then when I took it and tried it. Some community hospitals asked me for their feedback on it, and we got some really good feedback that made us change it a bit. But the point is that if you're doing it in a community setting, that technology we're going to have to learn, EJ. Yeah, we're going to have to learn how to adapt that to the product so that you can get the product, the customer information, you know. But if you can make something comfortable that a patient will sit on, that's really good. And it doesn't have to be in these sort of pink strawberry crushed. We can do it in any cover to match it. And that's what we did with my mother. We had to disguise it so that she thought it was just an ordinary cushion, and then she'd sit on it. Yeah. And then we had to switch it on after she sat down because it bleeps. So that's something we have to look at is, can you sit down and not make sure that it's not letting her know that she's been monitored, but having it monitored somewhere. So they're really good questions, and that's for the future. But you see, there's the technology we're going to have to learn, but there's practical side of making it work where people sometimes object to being put on equipment.
And with regards to the EPR, there was an option that we were looking at that we did a little bit of work, and it plugs into this and it connects to the Wi-Fi of the site, which might be more applicable, actually, perhaps even what we were discussing with Claire earlier, but probably applicable in a home setting as well. We haven't had the demand for it at the moment. The demand has mostly been in hospital, but if it's, you know, say Claire or VJ, if either of you were to reach out and say, actually, we want this, that's definitely something that we can look at, and we can look at developing with yourselves, and so, because the solutions are there, we just hadn't at the moment had the demand for it, but they are definitely there. It's like a little addition. It just plugs into here and then it connects to the Wi-Fi. So it's quite smart.
Thanks, Jude. Thanks, Peter.
That's great.
Thanks, VJ. Thanks for your question.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else got any other questions for Jude and Peter? And so I will share today's recording if you want to share with anybody else. I'll leave a bit of uncomfortable silence for a moment. Anybody?
Just to touch on what you were talking about before, Claire, as we're waiting, you were asking about more sort of more results. We do have Peter was referencing the novelty of this and the study that's going on in Stoke Mandeville. That's with the deconditioning element. The deconditioning element of this device is very new. However, we have had the exact same devices without the deconditioning elements in hospitals for over 15 years. So we do have a wealth of data from clinicians who have been very, very, very helpful and shared their feedback and their findings, and a couple did some studies. So if that's of interest to anyone, we can always share that. We do have results in regards to the falls element of it.
So if we've got a few minutes, Nick and everybody else, so I can just touch upon one or two pieces of that feedback. So Buckingham Healthcare Trust hyperacute stroke unit, Ward 8. They then moved from that to Ward 9, 23 beds, ongoing rehab until they're discharged. This is the ward sister saying, we use the cushions for any patient at risk of falls, as we often have patients who have no insight and or confusion post-stroke. As the wards are big, it is really helpful that we can hear when they're getting up. And so on average, you have 1 nurse to 8 patients, and patients find them really comfortable and don't try to get up from a stroke setting. She found that helpful, but we do want them to get up. And perhaps just one more or two more, because we've got a ward manager, Evesham. She says, hi, they're great devices and stop lots of falls. Izard Ward at the same hospital as well. Hi, and I'll finish with this. Hi, clinical feedback on pressure relieving falls cushion and bed type fall sensor, because we also did the fall sensor for the bed. We have found that cushions and bed sensors are easy to use. The alarm sounds loud and clear, and for us is distinctive from the call bell system. We have 3 different tones. so it is easily noted by the staff and the patients attend in a timely manner. Both products are easy to clean, and the alarm box is made of substantial plastic. They both are, which remains intact even if dropped accidentally. The comfortablest cushion is comfortable to sit on. The follow-up and service from the company is good. They've even provided us with appropriate storage for the beds, keep the bed sensors flat. Clinically, on IZAD, we've been able to improve the management of our dementia and confused patients, as we now have access to the equipment. At times, this has helped us manage challenging situations without bringing in a one-to-one. And she does mention about the disturbance to other demented patients where the volume can be turned down. There's 3 settings, low, medium, and high.
Yeah.
Thanks again for your
Yeah,
time.
I think that's a really important point. You know, picking up on the comments as well. You know, we've progressed so much. You know, you said you've been involved in the falls work for a while. We've progressed so much now in terms of taking some of those where we may have over-egged it in terms of keeping people in chairs, keeping people on beds, because we know the impact now from a deconditioning perspective. And it's almost now the debate has moved on now in terms of this relationship between falls prevention and reducing deconditioning, and it's a very sensitive space, really. And I know this is why it's so difficult, is because I think we've conditioned ourselves to be focused on falls prevention. But as one of my colleagues often says, is the only safest place to avoid falls prevention is to lie on the floor constantly. So yeah, we have to get up. You know, we have to move around. That's really important. So I think it's the link between the falls prevention and the mobility exercise and the alerts that you're giving people to, because we all know in the business of a day job on a ward, we don't realise that hours have gone past. You know, then all of a sudden we've got to the end of our shift, and Nick hasn't been mobilised out of his chair all day. So you know, these helpful little prompts, and sometimes they're little nudges, sometimes they're audible alerts, but it's something that just helps us to see these opportunities as to remind us, and from a patient's perspective. So I think it is this balance between where we it's right from a falls prevention perspective, but also then thinking about what you've already described about those little alerts that help us to say that actually no, it is time to get up in a supervised kind of way. And as Jackie says there, terminology is absolutely key. I can always rely on Jackie to come up with something more sensible than I would ever say. So thank you for that. So yeah, Nicola's popped in there about an email for Gail as well, if you want any context around my sense. But yeah, sorry, Peter, I interrupted.
No, I'm interrupted you. Thanks for the time. Each time you talk, you trigger something, you see. So we've been looking at some studies, and we can send them on. And you may have covered them, seen them all already, where they show that getting the patients up and exercising them regularly hasn't increased the level of falls, which is really good, because it's showing you that balance you're talking about, Nick. Yeah, the exercise hasn't increased the number of falls, and yet the benefit to muscular, loss of strength and atrophy as well has really improved things. And for us all, aging now as I am, and if I do end up in hospital, I want to be able to, as one wife said of one of the patients in one of the hospitals we were dealing with, she said, my husband could walk when he came in. What have you done with him? So and he wasn't able then. Luckily, he could go home with her. But imagine if in years to come I'm single and I decondition so much, I can't go back and potter around, make my tea, go into the garden, catch a bus. I've had it. Yeah.
I think don't worry about repeating any evidence that you may have picked up. It's unlikely that we've got it all. I think what you've got here, and you'll know this from the word that you'll be connected with. This is you're preaching to the choir on this one, but it's the choir then speaking to lots of other people who they need to try and convince, which is often the difficulty. And I think any evidence that backs that up, which fundamentally we know this is the right thing to do, but we sometimes struggle with just getting that over the line in terms of that risk appetite, or we just get a little bit risk averse at times. So yeah, don't worry about, if you want to send any evidence you have. I think you've got eyes on this kind of thing. Send it to me and I'll circulate it around to the group as well. I think if we've seen it already, then great. If we haven't, then even better. So brilliant. Thank you for that.
Claire had, sorry, Nick again.
Yeah, no.
Claire had asked about, we haven't found any large studies which show that, assistive technology helps prevent falls. And coming from a legal background, where we say just because there isn't evidence that it prevents something. So what we have, the only evidence we have that we can rely upon is the evidence we get back in the feedback where ward managers say it has prevented falls in their ward. It has helped us deal with patients in a timely manner. Even as on one of these falls feedback here, they said, even if we get to the patient after they've fallen, it's better than not knowing they've fallen. So the evidence that we have is just based on the feedback we have, Claire.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another good point, picking up on some of the staffing elements, and I think how people are thinking differently about staffing on and response to this, and not necessarily. It isn't always about bringing additional staff in, but I know that a lot of organisations now are asking their HCAs, example, or there's activity coordinators, or there's volunteers being used as activity coordinators, and just thinking a little bit different. We know there isn't a huge amount of money around at the moment. I mean, that's the understatement of the century. But so he's thinking differently. But that point, as you say, one of the other issues, I do a lot of work across systems and looking at the impacts of long lies in people's homes. So as you say, that response to a fall, even if there is a fall, that long lie to a fall isn't always known about because somebody may live on their own, or so it's those alerts that we're able to build into systems which we are able to respond. So yes, obviously we want to avoid the fall in the first place, but actually how can we respond quickly when it does happen? I'm going to, unless there's any other questions, going to give everybody the last chance. No question. So I'm just I'll put the guys' website details in the chat, and I'll also drop their email address in there as well. I'm sure they won't mind you dropping them an email if you've got any other questions or want to have a chat. I'll send the recording out. Peter, anything you've got, Jude, anything you've got in terms you want to ping over to me, I'll just include that in the email. If you can ping that over in the next sort of day or so, then I can include it in one single email, so I'm not bombarding people's inboxes with emails. But thank you to you two, especially Jude, Peter. Thank you for your time in coming back and sharing that with us. Thanks to everybody who's joined us today. Really helpful. We probably just in terms of been thinking about what we do with this group, we've paused it for a while just in terms of reflections on what we do with these kind of monthly meetings we had. I think it will center more around, we'll have specific updates like this when they arrive, and that may be generated from the WhatsApp group. It may be generated from other things. I see something bubbling up in the WhatsApp group today around John Hopkins. So it would be amazing to get a joint. I know Becky Fernahoe, Jackie, and others have been linked with Johns Hopkins in the past as well. So there may be a session that we do on the learning from Johns Hopkins, but it will probably feel more like it's if it's based on a thematic thing coming out of the chat or conversations, we'll probably pull one of these together again, rather than just have that monthly and then trying to get people to come and speak. So if that's okay, that's what probably we'll keep it like that at the moment, if that's okay. And then if anything changes in the future, then we will. This is a group I'd really like us to keep together. If I'm honest, there's about nearly 600 now in this distribution across the network. So I'd really like to keep the group together, keep talking, keep having the conversations on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, pop a message in the chat and I'll make sure I can send the link over to you. But with that, I think we're done for today. Thank you very much for your time, all of you, this afternoon. Hope you have a pleasant rest of the day and rest of the week. And those who have a long weekend this weekend, enjoy it. And thank you to those who are working over the weekend and keeping the ship afloat. Speak to you all soon.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.